Welcome, my name is George Pearson and I run the How to Gurus channel here on YouTube. Most of the videos on my channel are short demonstrations of the different tools and techniques that you'll find in different software programs. Right now I have several hundred of these quick videos available on YouTube. This video though is different. This is one in a series of longer project demonstrations that I'm doing that show you how to complete complex projects from start to finish, such as changing this background or adding in these swirls or changing hair color. All the images I use in these are public domain, and you'll find a link to the pictures in the description. Okay, let's go ahead and move into the project. In this Photoshop projects file, we're going to be taking a couple of public domain images and creating this out of those two images by changing the background. Here's the background we'll be using, just a real nice sunset image that I found. And then here's the motorcycle image. We'll be combining those two and ending up with this final image. Now, I have links to the two public domain images in the materials folders. You can find the links in there. You can then download those images and work along with me here if you want to with the training. There are a few things we'll be doing in here. Primarily we're going to be removing the original background, and that's going to be doing a careful selection around the motorcyclist so we can then delete this background and leave the motorcyclist on his own layer, as you can see right over here. We'll be doing a couple of layers with a blending mode on this that we can increase and saturate our colors. And we'll also be doing some fancy tricks in here to get those spokes to show up nicely. Real tricky part in there. Alright, let's go ahead and start. I'll just close down this sample file and we'll come back here and start with our original image. So again, we'll be using that as our background and this as the original image. The first thing I always do whenever I'm working on a picture like this is I make a copy of the background. I'll stick the background image, pull it down there, make a copy of that. I'll then hide that background into all my work on the copy. That way I always have something to go back to in case I mess things up. At this point we might as well go ahead and bring in our background image as well. Let me just pull this down here and float that image for a second. I can then grab this layer, drag it over here, and we can then close that out. So there's our background image. It's a little bit too small, as you can see, and that's okay. We'll just enlarge that. Let me make sure that we have snap on. There we go. So it'll snap right to the edges. And then let's expand that a little bit here. Let's take our transform scale and let's make sure that snaps right to the edge. There we go. Let's make sure that our fit is exact. I'm just feeling for that snap, and then we'll take clear up to the top. Okay, there we go. There's the background, and let's pull that down underneath so it's just sitting in behind. There we go. Still a little bit off, as you can see. I'm going to go just a little bit beyond the edge just to make sure that I have enough. I'm not having anything showing or just, you know, any odd edge happening in there. So I'll just go a little bit past the edge here. There we are. Okay, background and motorcyclist. Now, if you're trying out different backgrounds, you may want to do this a real fast, rough kind of cleanup of your background in here, just to see how it's going to fit on the image. Make another copy of this. We'll just do this real fast. Make a copy of that. Let's hide that. We'll come back to that as our main one. But to get a good sense, just grab your eraser tool, find the right size in here, and then erase your image. Let me just make this a hard brush. There we go. I'm not going to care about being real accurate on this. I just want to get a sense of whether or not this image is going to look good on the background. So I'll just do something kind of like that, just a real quick little brush, and then take a look at that. And that's pretty good. I think that'll work out well. So that's normally what I'll do. I'll just, I'll try some different backgrounds, and if I think the idea is going to work, I'll then go ahead and begin working on a real careful selection for this. So there's our test. I can just trash that one. Let's go back to our actual here, and we'll begin making a selection. Now this is mostly dark in behind him, so I'm going to put a white background, make it easier for us to select. So let's just get a new layer here, set our colors back to their defaults and reverse those. Grab the paint bucket tool, fill that with white, and I'll pull that down underneath the motorcyclist and then go back up to this layer. That just gives me a clean background as I'm doing my selection. There are a lot of different tools you can use to begin taking out your background. We could use the quick selection tool, the magic wand tool. You can even go down and use the background eraser tool if you want to, or you can just come in here and create your selections using the different lasso tools. My personal favorite is the Polygonal lasso tool. That's what I use most of the time. If it's a real critical image, I need to have a perfect mask, I'll normally come down and use the pen tool and create a very, very carefully controlled selection for that. I'm not going to take the time on this one. I think we can do what we want with our faster tools. So we'll start off with the magic wand tool. I'll click in here. Now I have this set at contiguous, which means everything has to be touching. And anti-alias, that smooths out the edge, makes it a little bit nicer. And a tolerance of 20, which is a good starting point. And I'll just click around in here and select some of these colors. And just try to fill this image up and give us our selection fairly quickly here. We can clean this up, of course, after we have this done. I'll probably do that. But that's pretty good. That gives us a good basic selection. I'll just add in a little more in here. So I think the magic wand will do most of what we want on this image, and it's fairly quick. The nice thing about this particular picture is that the motorcycle is pretty well separated color-wise from the background. Alright, let's hit the delete key there. Looks pretty good. Let's just deselect that. Now notice this real rough edge we're getting in here. Real kind of nasty rough edge. You can smooth that out a couple of different ways. I could come in and use with the selection to a refine edge on that and soften out that edge. Let's just reselect. Here we go. Come down to refine edge, and then we can smooth the edge out a little bit like that. Choose OK. Hit the delete key, and then let's just deselect that. And that smooths that edge out. Now if you don't want to use the refine edge, you also can do another little trick I like using sometimes, which is just take the smudge tool and a real small brush, a little smaller than that. Make sure you're real soft on this, and then just kind of paint right along the edge. Just kind of drag that right along the edge, and that gets rid of that pixelation effect. Now depending on your image, this may or may not work. It really depends upon the background as well. Now this is an action shot, so having the edge just a little bit soft works out great on an action shot. It seems very realistic to have the edge of the image having a little bit of softness to it. Let's use another tool here and do a little more of this deletion. I'll use the Polygonal Lasso tool, again my personal favorite, and let's zoom in here on the helmet area. There we go. You can give it a slight feathering if you want to. I'll just do just a couple of pixels feathering, just to make sure we have a nice soft-ish edge. Now on this one I'm just coming in and clicking in points. You can see there it's dragging a line, and I'll just click in and create points where I want that line to sit, and then just work my way around the image until I have a real nice clean selection. It takes a little bit of time to do it this way. You have to be patient and make sure you're putting in enough points to get a nice clean edge. This tool is great for straight lines, and if you're zoomed in enough you can usually do curved lines and no one's going to be noticing that you're making it up of a bunch of little short straight lines. I'll just finish off the helmet with this tool, and then we'll take a look at those wheels. I'll do most of the selection and cleanup here off camera, So you don't need to just watch me doing this forever and a day. But we'll finish the helmet and then we'll take a look at those wheels. That's the real problem on this particular image, is what to do about the spokes on this thing. Okay, so again, I'm just coming around like that and creating a little selection, and I'll just back up and go back to my starting point. Once I find the starting point, the cursor changes. You can see it right there. There it is. Hit the delete key, and that cleans it out. And deselect. You can see that slight softness in there. That was that 2-point feathering that I did. Maybe a 1-point feathering might even be a little bit better on this. It'll be a little bit tighter. Let's take a look at those wheels. Now, a lot of the stuff you can come in here, you can just carefully, using whatever tools, come in and clean out all this kind of stuff. That's pretty easy. Doing this stuff, that's pretty straightforward. The real problem is these wheels down here and these spokes. Now, it's going to be impossible to take the time and try to create little areas here and clean out that area in around all of those spokes. It's just going to take forever to do that. So instead of doing that, we're simply going to clean out everything inside of here and then put back in our own spokes afterwards. We'll actually draw in new spokes, and it's one reason why we have our background image. I can then use that as a reference and then just put new spokes right on top of the old spokes using our line tool, which is right there. Just draw in new lines, new spokes, and it will look just like the original spokes once the image is finished. It's a real great little trick. So we want to clean this stuff out in here, and we have an ellipse, which means I can use the Elliptical Marquee tool, and I'll just draw an ellipse kind of the right size, just like that. Let's go up here to select, and we're going to transform the selection. Now with this, you can rotate your selection around. You can change the size of your selection like that. So I want to come in and just try to get the selection fitting in pretty close to the edge and see how close we can get this to actually match that curve. And we're getting pretty close there actually. It's not too bad. I may need to rotate this just a little bit again. Okay, that's pretty close. I think we're just about there on that. Now we want to save all of this stuff in here. So I need to remove this from the selection. So let's change our tool over here to the, I'll apply a transformation. There we go. Let's change our tool to the Polygonal Lasso tool. We want to remove from the selections up here in the options. I'll remove from the selection right there. I'm going to bring the feathering down to 1. Actually, I'm going to put it at 0. Let's be real tight on this one. Okay, now using this tool, I'm going to come in and carefully come around our shapes. I could have used the elliptical tool again and grabbed this break in here, but I think we'll just do it with the Polygonal Lasso tool, which should work out fine. And a couple of little bits of detail in there I can work around. And I'll come clear out there. And then up to here, get the inside section. Notice I'm not caring about the spokes. We'll be putting those back in again later. Come back to the beginning, which is right there. There we go. So that removed that area out of our selection. You can bring things back in again, of course. You can also change this here to bringing or adding back into your selection. I want to grab that valve stem. And it's just a little detail. There we go. So there's our new selection, and we have removed everything we want to keep. Hit the delete key, and there we go. So select, deselect. So do the exact same thing on the other side. Now, looks like right in here I probably should have brought that in a little bit closer on this maybe. So let's just do another selection on that. Sometimes if you're perfectly accurate, it doesn't look as good as it should. So what you want is to make your selections look correct, even if you're taking out something which may actually have been there. If it doesn't really feel right, go ahead and remove that. Now I can come in here and I can clean that up a little bit down there just using the eraser tool. and bring the size way down. There we go. And just kind of touch up those little edges that aren't quite exactly where I want them. Okay, so that's the idea. That's the approach. Now on the back wheel, same thing. I'll just take my time and using the elliptical marquee, I'll remove all the spoke area. In this case, I'll come in with the Polygonal Lasso tool right there, and I'll take some time to come in and just pull out all those little holes in there and remove all that stuff so I get the gear and the disc brake back there, and make sure I have all that little stuff. It'll take a while to do all of that, but I'll go ahead and I'll take the time to do that. And in here as well. On the tires, these are knobby tires, but if you look at the tread carefully, it's all kind of random almost. They're not evenly lined up. So again, this is an area we're coming into the Polygonal Lasso tool and just taking the time to go around all of these and get a nice clean selection is well worth the time that it takes. So at this point, I'm going to pause the video. Then I'll go in and take care of the rest of this selection stuff and remove all the parts that we don't want. And as soon as I have that done and I have this image cleaned up so it's just the biker lift, I'll then bring the video back up again and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so there's the motorcycle with all those parts erased, and that's the background. There it is with the transparency, there it is with the white, and then there it is over the sky. So it's looking pretty good. I took about a half hour to come in and do a real careful cleanup on all this edges. I actually used just the eraser tool around the wheels. It was just faster to go in there and just kind of erase in around those. It took care of the wheels pretty quickly in there. And I also used the eraser tool to come in here and just erase into all the stuff on the disc brake and the gear in there. So that's all pretty good. Now you notice we have a few little odd bits in here. It's kind of bright along the edge, kind of like an orange. It almost works on this particular image because the background has a lot of orange in it. But if you want to get rid of that, you can come in and darken down an area. You can desaturate that and then darken it down. Now I'll get rid of some of that color. Let me just show you that quickly here. Go up to this, we have a Smudge Tool. Let me bring that down a little bit. Sponge removes color out of an image, but leaves everything else. So I can just come in here and use the Sponge Tool on this. Let me bring my flow rate clear up to the top here. And I can use that just to get rid of that bit of an orange highlight. And that will help this blend a little bit better into the background. And the same thing right along there. Now remember, I'm working up here, so I'm only applying this onto the actual motorcycle. I'm not seeing anything in the background because I'm not painting on that background layer. Let me just come up here on this gear and I'll do the same thing. Just kind of come in and push that towards black and white by desaturating that. You have two modes here. You can desaturate or make it brighter and use the saturation mode. Let's check out the other tire. That's looking pretty good except for maybe right up along in here. Again, all I'm doing is I'm just taking out some of the color in those areas. Now to make the wheels darker, if you want the wheels darkened down a little bit, that's pretty easy to do too. Just go over here and grab the Burn tool, and I'll bring the size down a bit and make sure that's real soft. Now the Burn tool adds in more exposure, so I can just do little stroke kind of stuff in here and darken the tires down. I might leave them bright up there, that's fine. But I'll darken them down around there. Let's do the same thing for the back, because of course this is a darker scene, nighttime scene, so we don't really need to have a bright tire. This is coming from a pure daylight scene and going into a night scene, so the tires should be a lot darker. They'll be even darker still once we move into our next step, but I want to take out some of that brightness on that, maybe even a little bit in here. Okay, let's see how that looks. We'll back out a little bit. Looking better. Okay, it's still not as far as I want it yet though. So we're going to do another trick. We're going to take this layer and make a duplicate of this layer. There we go. So there's now 2 layers in here. And on this top layer, we're going to add a blending mode to blend this layer down to that layer. So we're working with just these motorcycle layers in here. Blend this onto that layer. Go to blending mode and come down to color dodge, and you can get a much brighter look like that. Real bright and exciting, almost neon. Linear dodge. So as you see, come in and do different effects. There's an overlay effect. Here's a soft light effect. Different effects by using these 2 copies of the same thing. You can adjust the quality of your image. There's just a darkening down, lighter. What I want though down here is vivid light. That's going to really darken down the darks and make the light colors in here really pop. So that vivid light gives us this really exciting kind of lighting which matches that background. So there it is without that, and here it is with the new layer in here and the vivid light. If that's too much for you, just choose one of the other blending modes, like an overlay, a little more realistic. But I kind of like the vivid light on this one, just so it's really stark and dramatic. Okay, so far so good. So we have our background, we have our motorcyclist, we have our nice bright colors. What we don't have are any spokes in there. So let's take a look at doing the spokes. I'll zoom in on the front tire. Now we don't want that vivid light, just take that out. I don't want that background. What I do want is the original picture. There it is. There's the original picture in behind our picture. And I'm going to be putting the spokes in between, or right above our original copy here, and down below the one with the vivid on that. I don't want the spokes real bright. I just kind of want them in there. Now we'll be using the line tool, and we're doing a stroke on this. The line gives you a stroke. You can adjust the thickness. I'll just do one line here, and let's just see how thick that is. That's actually pretty good. Pretty good thickness. Just undo that. Now if I just do just a line like that, it doesn't look too good. It's not really that exciting, so let's just undo that line tool. I want to do a little bit to this. So I want to change that color. Let's go over to our stroke here. Change it to a gradient, and we have a white to black, black to white. I think I want to actually change the color in here a little bit. Double click on that, and let's make this a light gray, and double click here. Let's make that a dark gray. So we're going a light gray to dark gray gradient. And then I can just pull right along the spoke like that, and actually put in new spokes. I'll just be drawing right on top of the original spokes. Notice that I'm overlapping a little bit in here. That's going to be hidden when we bring in our additional layer. It's going to come in and actually hide a lot of that. We'll clean up some of that as well. So just coming in and bringing these in. Now it's drawing dark to light. And that gives us that kind of a naturalistic effect to that. Your spokes are not going to be perfectly even. They're going to have some variation of color on them, and that's very important to have that. So the gradient on the line really gives you that variation. Now they're coming in too stark, as you can see. It's looking kind of cartoony. We'll take care of that in just a minute. Notice how the real spokes are a little bit soft in texture. They're kind of just slightly out of focus. And I've got a great trick for that. Okay, so there's our spokes. I'm now going to take those spoke layers here. Notice that each one of these lines gave me a new shape. So I have 35 shapes. Now there's a whole bunch of shapes in here. So I'll click on the top shape, come down to the bottom shape, hold the Shift key down, select all those shapes, right click, and merge shapes. There we go. That brings them all down to one layer. Let's rasterize this layer now. So right click and right click in here. There we go. Rasterize the layer. Makes it just a graphic as opposed to being a shape. Now is when we come back in with our eraser tool. And hard to just find the right size in here. I'm just going to just erase out some of those spokes that are going too far over. It's easier to do it now than it is to try to be exact on that as you're putting the spokes in. It just is much simpler to do this as a secondary step. And we'll clean that up. There we go. Okay, now we want to get that softness in on these spokes. And we can do that by using a filter. If we go up to Blur up here, Filter and Blur, we have a Radial Blur which actually spins an image. It's a real old filter, but it still works great. And it will spin just the spokes themselves. But I'll grab the Elliptical Marquee. I'll draw an ellipse around that. I do this because I want to just be spinning just this little area right in there. Otherwise it's going to try to center the spin someplace else. I want to have the spin centered in there. So you can, if you put a marquee, it's going to apply that filter just inside of the marquee. Alright, Filter and Blur, Radial Blur. As I said, it's a real old filter, as you can see here. But if I just choose a small amount, I have it set at 10, we'll see how this works. We're looking at spin. You have two options, zoom and spin. We want spin. Choose OK. There you go. It just gives them just a slight spin. I'm going to hide the background. And that's too much. Notice it just really fades that out. Let's bring that up. So they're really kind of faded out. So let's undo that blur. Let's try a little less blur this time. Let's try 5 on that. There's no preview here. You have to just try it and see what it looks like. Still too much. Let's try 2. So I want just a little bit. There we go, just a little bit of that motion on that. And then let's set this against the background. Still not quite enough. I think 3 might be just about perfect. There we go. And it's also pixelating a little bit in here, so I want to soften that up. So let's come in here to our Gaussian blur. And just a little bit of that. Gaussian blur. Not too much, just a little bit. And there we go. I have real naturalistic looking spokes. So again, that's the Radial Blur and then the Gaussian blur. We can now deselect that, and there is the spokes. It's looking great. So I'll do the exact same thing on the back wheel. I'll do that off camera so we don't waste time here on the video, but that gives us our nice spokes. Now if I zoom out a little bit, spokes look good. If we bring our bright driver back in again, and that's just about there, as you can see. So I'll finish up our spokes on this side, and then we'll have our very dramatic motorcyclist. So I'll just do this off camera and then be right back on again. Okay, there's the back spokes. Now they're a little too bright still, so I'm just going to bring the opacity down on that. Let's just use our layer opacity and blend those into the background a little bit. The same thing for the front spokes. You want enough there so you kind of see them, but not really. You don't want to be focusing on the spokes. They should be just enough there so that you notice that there are spokes and nothing else. And there we go, all taken care of. So there it is. There is our exciting image with our exciting writer using several different techniques in here. Now I can go a little bit further on this, maybe take out the logo, things like that, but that's all just refinements. But there it is. That is how you do this exciting image out of a relatively standard background picture. So what we had before was kind of like that, and then we gave it a new background and really spiced up the motorcyclist by using an additional layer in here with that vivid light blending mode. I have a few questions I wanted to answer about the techniques I used in this particular project video. First one is, why did I use selection tool and erasers, things like that, to erase parts of this background and leaving a transparency instead of using a layer mask over here and just masking out the background? Well, the main reason is I no longer need that background. There's no reason to go back in and change or adjust that. I either have the bike, selected, or I don't, and it doesn't matter if I use the selection tools, eraser tools, whatever, to just remove the background, or if I use a mask over here to mask out the background. It's the same difference in this case on this particular image. Now, if you think you may want to go back in and adjust your selections in the future, then definitely use a layer mask, because it gives you more flexibility for doing that. But on things like this where all I'll ever want to do is just remove that background, it doesn't matter if you use a layer mask or not. It's personal preference in this particular case. So that's why I didn't do that. Another question is, can you adjust the amount of blending mode up here that you're applying onto your layer? Here it is without and here it is with. Can you adjust that amount? Actually, it's very easy. Just go onto your layer that has the blending mode and adjust the opacity for that. If I pull the opacity down, you see here that I can come in and choose exactly how much of that blending mode I want to have applied. So you do have the ability to come in here and do a little bit of adjustment to fine-tune that blending mode. On this one, coming in for about 79–80%, actually looks pretty good. It gives me a little bit lighter wheel, which seems to be a little more realistic, so I can come in and adjust that blending mode. Another question I get a lot on these project videos is, why am I always using the mouse and the menus? Why am I not using keyboard shortcuts? Well, when I'm doing things for myself, I'll use keyboard shortcuts because they're just faster. The reason I use the mouse and menus and everything on screen in these videos is so that you can see exactly what it is that I'm doing. If I'm using keyboard shortcuts, you can't see what I'm doing. All of a sudden something will change, something will pop up, and you won't know how it got there. But if I always make my choices from the menus, then you can see exactly the steps that I'm going through, and it's a better experience for you as a viewer of this video if I'm not using keyboard shortcuts. Another question on this technique that I have seen come up in forums is using the magic wand or the quick selection tool up here, is that it's selecting things on all of the layers and not just on one layer. What's causing that kind of weird behavior? Now normally it's just going to select just the one layer. If you click on something and it chooses all of the colors throughout the image that match that, then you have contiguous up here unselected. With this selected, then it's only going to select areas or colors that are next to what you clicked on. Next to that is sample all layers right there. So if I have sample all layers selected and I click on something, it's going to look at all of the layers for that particular content that I'm selecting. So this is where you may be finding that the selection tools are working on all layers instead of just the layer that you're working on at the moment. So make sure that is unselected so that you're working on just one layer. By default, that should be unselected, so that really shouldn't be a problem. But there you go. That's what causes that. If you find that your selections are selecting multiple layers, that's what's causing that. Okay, so there go just a few options up here. The anti-alias also, this softens out the edges of your selection, makes it a little bit nicer. And then tolerance, of course, is how wide of a range of color will it sample if it's actually doing your selection. In other words, if I come in here with a real small tolerance, it may just get 1 or 2 pixels right in there. If I bring the tolerance up a little bit, it gets a little wider selection. Even further, and it gets even more range in there. So the larger the number, the more you're going to be selecting. The smaller the number, the more specific it's going to be on its selection. So there you go. Just a couple of quick questions that come up on this particular technique. And that then finishes off our look at this project on how to take what is a rather average motorcycle shot, not bad framing, but average motorcycle shot, and then making it far more exciting by coming in and putting in a lot more stuff and a much more interesting background and a high level of color values into the motorcycle. Thank you for watching this special Photoshop photography project video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you will get first notice of new project videos in the future. Just click on this link right here where it says subscribe here. You can get all 12 project videos in this series along with 26 special videos demonstrating the tools and techniques that I used in these projects by clicking on this link right down here. And then thank you again for watching this training video.